Welcome. This is Conversations with Music Creators. Tonight we're featuring 3 locally based, nationally recognized music creators, composers, songwriters, arrangers, and or lyricists. Tonight it's mainly composers and songwriters, presenting samples of their works, whether live or via recording, talking about the creative process and then dialoguing with each other, as well as entertaining questions from the audience. So our 3 presenters are, I'm just going to go in my order. So over here, Zach Redler is music program coordinator at Dublin School, just up the hill here. Has had compositions performed in concert halls, opera houses, slow down, and theater around the world. Zach spent 8 years working on music teams of musicals on Broadway and elsewhere. Zach has received commissions from Opera Montana, Seattle Opera, Houston Grand Opera, Washington National Opera, Opera Memphis, Arizona Opera, San Diego Opera, Opera on the James, Western Colorado, and many others. Locally, Zach has performed for and collaborated with music on Norway Pond, Spring Hill Studio, Harrisville Church, Dublin Church, and the Peterborough Players. Zach's latest opera, an adaptation of A River Runs Through It. Right, how many of you have read that book? Yeah. That's going to be interesting to hear and see that. It will be premiere in Bozeman, Montana in September and will be filmed for PBS. Ethan McBrien on my right, your left, originally from Dublin, now lives in Nelson. He leads a psych folk band called Party of the Sun with Rory, who is running video tonight, Rory Hurley and Garrett Cameron. And the band has released 2 full-length albums, Trekker and Fullest Hour, 5 EPs, Lay Low, Golden Wood, Capsule, 1, 2, and 3. On February 27th, they released 2 more EPs, each one 50-minute suite of composed music. And what are the titles of those?
One's called Carpenter's Dream, and the other is called The Twin.
And I've listened to both, and I love them. Their work has been featured on television shows such as Deputy on Fox and Charmed on the CW. They have shared the stage with acts including Bonnie Prince Billy, Haley Hendricks, did I say the last name of that right? Okay. William Tyler, Habibi, Robert Randolph Footings, and more. And on my far right, your left, hailing from Jaffrey, Ezra Landis has become a strong presence in the Kirtan world music circuit, sharing the stage and touring the world across 5 continents with many renowned artists such as Ajit, Snatam Kaur, and tell me if I'm pronouncing these wrong, okay? Okay. Simrit?
Yeah.
Okay. Donna Delroy, David Newman, Adam Bauer, and Jai Jagdish. His gentle yet powerful guitar playing offers a profound musical experience as he weaves together the influence of folk to funk to flamenco, reggae to rock, and Celtic to classical. In 2024, Ezra released his long-awaited EP of original instrumental music called The Journey Home. That's another one I have that I enjoy listening to. You can find him also rocking out with his funk rock reggae band, The Evocatives. So I have a timer here. Each person's going to get 15 minutes to present the music, talk about where the ideas came from for the music, and then open it up to questions either from the panelists or from you in the audience. And if you want to ask a question, I'll hand you my microphone. So, are you ready to go? You're number 1.
I'm number 1? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, sure.
Go for it. And I'm going to start my timer.
Well, thank you, Volkert. This is a real treat and an honor. I've never done anything like this before, so yeah, great. It's a first experience for many of us. I should have mentioned in my bio that I'm from Jaffrey, but I now live just up the street in Dublin. So I figured I would start with the title track off of my EP called The Journey Home. And let's see where to begin. I guess I can just play it. I'll preface this by saying I'll play it, and then I want to do a little snippet of the recording because it's very different when it's played live versus the recording. So just to kind of help see how the music is started just on my own, and then like the whole vision in its finished form. Thank you very much. So when Volkert mentioned this possibility, I was obviously trying to think of what music to talk about. And I figured this one was a good one because, well, as good as any, because for me, in my own process, I feel like every song is a little different. There's some themes with how things kind of come about. But I was thinking back to this one in particular, and I was, at the time, it was a few years ago now, very influenced by this classical guitar piece called Una limosna por el amor de Dios by a Paraguayan composer. I'm spacing his name at the moment. But anyway, that opening, just kind of a theme that I was really into exploring, just kind of a very simple arpeggio, of the music, and trying to explore that one possibility in all the different ways that I could weave around it with different chords and bass lines and that sort of thing. So that was kind of what inspired that initial idea. And so that was, just the guitar on its own, obviously, but the finished product there's a lot more going on. And so I figured it might be a good idea to kind of show you what it actually sounds like in the studio version. So I don't know if it's all set. Okay. I guess I should say that I like that idea, but I felt like I heard a lot more in my head of what wanted to be there. Like what does the song actually want, and what more needs to be added to convey what is there that I feel is there. And so here, I'll just play a little bit of it. That's a taste. There's more, but thank you. You can see there's obviously a lot more going on, and this was the first, actually so far the only time that I wrote a string quartet arrangement for it as well, which was a really fun process and something that I'd always been interested in doing. And I just felt like, especially, there wanted to be a lot more drama and just big, full sounds, and then there was a little bit of interplay between the two different sections there. I don't know how technical we want to get with things, but I guess that's that for the time being. I don't know if anybody has questions or thoughts.
Yeah. So just I'm curious about the movement from you working by yourself in your car, and then communicating your vision.
Yeah.
It sounds like you definitely had a vision to the other musicians you were working with.
Yeah, that's a good
Want
question.
to say a little bit about that process?
Sure. Well, so the drumming that you hear on that is my brother Owen. That's him back there. He's my twin brother, and we've been playing since we were, I think, 13 years old, which at this point was a long time ago. And so, not much communication was needed with him. I'll say it that way. He kind of got what I was going for. And then, so I played everything else other than the strings. So I played the bass and all the other instruments. So that was not much communication needed for that either. And really, I wrote out the whole string arrangement. So the guy who recorded it was actually just a cello player who recorded the whole arrangement on cello. He was an amazing cello player out of the Hudson Valley, who I've played with before. So yeah, again, there wasn't a whole lot of communication needed for that. Like other songs, yes, but this one in particular, I mean, he had some questions about, you know, dynamics and specific notes and that sort of thing, but it was pretty clear, I think, for him. So, yeah. But that was one, like, I had the vision more or less, and there was a lot of trial and error getting it to where I felt like it was a representation of what the song wanted to be. That's definitely something that is a theme I've noticed in the creation process for me. Is there's a lot of exploration of like what's there and what wants to come out, you know, like I have generally a vague idea, sometimes none, sometimes it's more cohesive, but there's a lot of exploration to get to where it is. Yeah.
Was there ever a point where you asked the cellist, go ahead, just improv something, let's see what you come up with?
So actually, yes, the beginning of the song, there is a section where he does an improv melody that's beautiful. So that is there as well. Yeah.
Any other questions?
I felt, my question is, when you're thinking of a tune, or this piece is coming to you, is there a name in mind? It's Journey Home, right?
Yeah.
I really felt like, you know, you start off simply,
Yeah.
and it built and built and built, and I felt like I was going on the journey home. And
Awesome. Oh,
the idea of the words, like, this is about the journey home, or did
Right.
the tune come to mind first?
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. So it's funny. Most of the time, naming a song is hard for me. Like there wasn't that thought when I was writing it, and the journey home. I'm not exactly sure where it came from, but it just kind of popped into my head, and then I realized that it was just that. Like, I don't know, that's usually how it happens. Maybe there's like a placeholder name, and then I realized that that is actually what the song is about. Because like since it's all instrumental and there's no lyrical message that I'm putting out there or story, it's not as clear what it's about. But
That worked well.
yeah, cool, that's good to hear. Yeah, I often find that after a song is written and I've sat with it for a while, then it becomes more clear what it's actually about. Yeah.
Any of you panelists want to interact with it?
How long had this album been cooking before it? Yeah, just great.
It was a long time. I don't know if I have.
So I love the
number.
album, by the way. You know that I love the album. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, I've been talking about it for many, many years. I used to tour a lot from 2013 to 2019. A little bit here and there still, but and that whole time, pretty much, it was cooking. It was kind of on the back burner.
Yeah.
I didn't have a whole lot of time to work on
Sure.
it.
Cool.
But yeah, it was a long time coming.
15 seconds. Anybody else?
Great.
Well, thanks so much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I'll just say that when I heard the guitar version and the recorded version, in one I was paying attention to the chord progression, the other was bathed in the sound of the whole thing, and it was like two people. I mean, it was definitely the same construction behind it all, but I heard two different experiences with it. Okay, next up is Ethan McBrien.
Hi, everyone. I'm really very grateful to be here. I've known Ezra a long time, and a lot of you a long time. And just meeting Zach, pleased to meet you. I grew up here, and this is, I think, the first time that I've played music in Dublin in maybe I don't know, 20 years. Not in a, I'm trying to think, not in this sort of environment. So I'm grateful for that. I do a lot of panels, is what I'm saying. No, I don't at all. But I grew up at the end of Gary Road. And yeah, we say Gary Road, but some might say Jerry Road. But across from what used to be Window Master is now Muse. That's a long dirt road, and it opens up to this beautiful old dairy farm. My dad, who's here, and Mom were the caretakers of that piece of land. Beautiful place. Myself and my two brothers. And I say all this because location plays a big part of in everything, I suppose, but in my in the way that I make art, I guess. The piece that I'm going to play for you now began 5 years ago, or maybe a little less than 5 years ago. My son Ryder was born in 2020. And he was the kind of baby that would just cry and cry and cry. And so what we would do is I'd wrap him in this, the Moby wrap, right? That thing. I'd wrap him in that, and I would walk around the house, and like put the guitar on the outside of him and just play, and that would get him to chill out. So that, sometimes I wish I could still do that. That would be funny now. I guess he was about a year old, and I went, one of the first days that I left as a dad for a whole day, and I went and I hiked Pompeii with my good friend Tim, and it was a bluebird October day, just really, Pompeii in October. I mean, it's just, so we're in a special place. So hiked the mountain, and then got home, and either that night and into the next morning, I wrote this song in that same orientation with Ryder on my chest. And so I dubbed the song New Limb. This is a song that is not out anywhere in the world, and it's a song that I've never played for anyone out live, I don't think. Maybe I've played it for Rory once maybe. Rory is might as well be my brother. He's recording this, and we make a bunch of music together, and I can talk about that too. But for now, I'll just play this tune. I think so. Takes courage to go first. Nice job, Ezra. Turn it all down. I think we can all hear it. And that's that piece of music. I don't have much to say about it, really. Although I can talk, though, if I must, when I'm not hunched over my guitar. I think that vulnerability is a really important part of my creative process, for one. So thank you all for going on that ride with me and letting me play that music for you. And I kind of wanted to do it to demonstrate that point and make this sort of like an active creative process. And sort of that's kind of how I view these sorts of things. So I'm grateful for you all for lending your ear and listening. And I mentioned about hiking and place, and another thing that's really important to me is motion when it comes to music. Music, it needs to move, and I think that bodies need to move, well, for sure, and also when writing and when working on things. So I'll often be moving around. So that, and the limb idea, as a vehicle of motion is kind of is in there. That's what I could talk long about this sort of thing. But if anyone has any questions or comments or anything they want to share, by all means, go ahead. Yeah. Yes.
Well, you asked about the length of time to compose that piece. What was that like for you?
For that piece, that song. I want to say like 2 distinct writing sessions, I think, yeah.
So pretty fast.
Pretty fast, I think.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I guess I'll say this at the risk of sounding very lame, but in my mind, I will often say, the mystical doors are still open by hand. Thanks. I did that disclaimer because, yeah, it sounds silly or conceited or I don't know. But what I mean by that is, like, I just work on playing guitar a lot. So that song, in all reality, probably was written over many moons. But those actual melodies, you know, came about in a pretty, like, I remember there was just two sessions. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for your question. Yadida.
And I was wondering about the emotions you were expressing while you played.
Sure. On this night tonight, I was just trying not to mess it up.
Or maybe when you wrote it.
I played a few clams, if people know what clams are, in the music biz. When I wrote it, you know, I had a 1-year-old. I was just kind of loved being sleep deprived. I kind of liked that world. Like, if I could just hang out there, I might. It's just not necessarily healthy, but yeah, so exhausted, but also joy, frustration, you know, exhaustion. And like kind of on this marathon to get this child to calm down. And that very much was required like a lot of physical effort. And so I think that, and like there's a physicality to that piece of music, which I don't really even like that much anymore, but like it required of me like a certain physical thing that I hadn't done before, really. And so that's, it was like an endurance event, kind of. This is like how I was thinking about it. Yeah, I don't know. That's one way to take it. Thanks for your question, Yadida. Yeah.
Anybody else? I noticed a difference between your two pieces. There was a little more structure in a repeated theme, and yours seemed to be more stream of consciousness. Would you want to comment on that?
Sure.
The difference between the two?
Yeah, I tend to operate stream of consciousness as much as I can. And yeah, there are kind of like 3 movements in that, I guess. They don't, but yeah, I don't really know what to say about that.
So you definitely thought 3 movements as you were creating it?
Yeah, like there's sort of breaks where it goes from one to the next. Yeah, and some of them reoccur. And like I said, this is the first time I've played it, and perhaps bringing in elements that happened earlier on later with other voices might be one way to do that. But yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, it sounds to me, and I enjoyed that very, very much, that you allow, correct me, if you allow yourself to be somewhat in free form at times. In other words, if it's not written down in your head as you've evolved, do you play that same tune somewhat differently each time?
Great question. I think yes. Maybe some songs more so than others. With that song, probably pretty close to the way it was written. I think ideally, but but definitely it's in my sort of style or whatever to like take a song, and another one I'll play maybe where there's a little bit more play in the form of the song that it could vary. But as far as tempo and tenacity or your attack, that's gonna vary based on like if you're nervous, like on a panel, or whatever. Thanks for your question. Yeah.
Our timer went off during that last answer, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
Ethan. Yeah. Part of my vision for doing this series is to have different genres, and you're going to have, I think, a change in genres now, which is going to be wonderful, because the whole idea is that creativity takes on many forms. I see somebody in the audience I talked to last week who's a visual artist who's in a creative slump right now, and so it's also for visual artists, it's for poets, it's for authors. I mean, it's the whole idea is about creativity. So now let's turn it over to Zach Redler and see what he's got up his sleeve.
Yeah.
You got it paired up?
Let's see. So, while we're connecting and disconnecting. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna take a
I think
sharp.
it's paired. You could just.
I can push it again. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So I don't know. I went back and forth between very different things to share. And so this is kind of I don't know. I'll try to set this up really quickly. This is from one of the first musicals I wrote. It was actually my graduate thesis, but it had a pretty decent life off Broadway, and it's gonna have a production in Budapest in May, which is wild. But it like ran for 9 months. It's sold, so like it's been translated in these really interesting ways. And it's a 2-person show. It's about a mother and a daughter. It's a little heavy, so I apologize. But but it has actually also it's incredibly moving and funny. But at the top of the show, the mother is diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and the daughter moves in to take care of her. And it's like the mother is 62, so it's early, and the daughter's 31, can't seem to hold down a relationship, and so she moves home to take care of her mother. Her father's been dead for a little bit. And over the course of this, it's mother and a daughter. They have a very contentious relationship. She was a father's daughter, and you start to see their relationship evolve. And the song that I'm going to play is at this moment where, like, the mother's had moments where she thinks the daughter is someone else. But at this moment, she thinks the daughter is her husband. And it's this moment that reveals this secret that's been looming over their relationship their whole lives. That the father, hopefully you get it from the song, but we'll see. So it's a little, we'll see. Anyway, so this is also a tune where, like, it was a musical, it was produced as a musical, and it was also a moment. So it premiered in 2009 at Barrington Stage, and it was like an intermission. Some people were like, "Oh, this is really heavy for a musical." I was like, Yeah, like they're musicals that they're heavy and like you laugh too. But there's a whole song about a toilet. But then I was like, oh well, would it be useful if you called it an opera? And they were like, yes. And I said, okay, we'll call it an opera. But it was a moment. It was a moment where I was like, oh well, maybe I could write opera, and because that was never really part of the plan. And it kind of sparked this journey that I'm now on writing operas. All right, so let's see. Oh, it's Catherine Cox. You hear Catherine Cox? Her big claim to fame was the Tony for Baby, or she was nominated for the Tony for Baby. And Leslie Kritzer, who's kind of a bigger name in music, if you follow music.
Well, Ira, here we are. You tried to leave, but you didn't get far.
Mom, stop. I'm not
What's
kidding.
wrong, Ira? You were ready to go. You were done with me. You told me so.
Shut up.
Oh, silly me. It's bandages, right? I'm making you uncomfortable. You're clenching your fists. Oh, stupid me. It's bandages, right? I'm making you uncomfortable because I slit my wrists. I slit my wrists. What can you do? But don't worry, Ira. It wasn't for you.
Wait, hold on.
I'm unlovable. I know. You might as well just say it out flat. I'm unlovable. I know. You're not the first to tell me that. But this isn't just about you and me. If this was about our marriage, I wouldn't bother. But we have a daughter, Ira. And I'll be damned if she'll grow up without a father. Starting today, I have a history of mental instability. You wanna leave? Ha! I don't see how. Go ahead and leave us great. No judge in the entire state would ever grant custody to me now. If you leave, they'll take her away from me and give her to you. And then what would you do? You've already made it very clear, very, very clear that you don't want to take her with you. I'm unlovable, I know. Just say it, you scumbag rat. I'm unlovable, I know. You're not the first to tell me that, but I didn't choose to be this way. I can't just choose to be someone new. But we do choose the actions we take. We do control what we do. You choose to cheat, you choose to lie, well I refuse defeat. I refuse to cry. If you think for 1 second I give a shit about you, let's just get one thing straight. Just looking at you now makes me sick. It would be very easy for me to go on without you. You're a lousy husband, you're a lousy mate, you're a bastard, you're a coward, you're a prick. I could go right on and find another man faster than you could say goodbye. I'd be so fine without you, Ira. You're not much of a catch, I'm not going to lie, but unfortunately for me, we have a daughter who loves you. I can't let you take that away from her. I had to make you stay for her. She needs you, Ira. She loves you, Ira. She really loves you. She loves you in a way that she could never love me. I'll make you a deal. Stay and play the good guy and be the best father you could pretend to be. If you just stay and be a father, stay and play the good guy, and you can blame everything on me. Just stay. We'll blame it all on me. We'll blame it all on me.
So that's that. Yeah.
I'm terrified to know what goes on in there.
Well, I mean, to be good, to be completely, I didn't write the words. So that's, so I have a wonderful collaborator, Sarah Cooper. She's an incredible writer. We don't write together anymore, but we've written a few shows together. But yeah, some of it was autobiographical from both of our sides. But yeah, no, I forget when that came up. It came up later anyway. But yeah, there were probably 100 songs that got cut.
Words before music?
Typically, yeah. Yeah, there's only one song in this show that was music first, but that was because we were both on a deadline because we were both writing other shows as well, but that ended up changing anyway. Like, it's very fluid in terms of back and forth for me. Yeah.
I was going to ask what was sort of your biggest inspiration for that piece, or where do you seek inspiration when you're sitting down to write something new?
For that particular song, or just in general, or?
That particular song.
Sure. I don't know if there was inspiration. I think at the time I was listening, I was listening to a lot of bar talk, so I don't know if that's a genre or a person's works that. But no, I think there are a couple of things happening in there this was later on. We wrote this later on in the process, and I typically tend to write more often than not at the piano and accompanimentally first. Not always, but there will be some kind of figure, and it could be very simple. It could be like seemingly simple, that like just the 4 notes or 5 notes, the Benedetta. And then the rest of it, like a lot of it, she does have a motive that follows her throughout the whole piece. Yeah, the cast album on Spotify if you want to check it out. It's called The Memory Show, is the title of the show. But yeah, then it was a matter of elaborating, but it's also fairly structurally, like it's complicated, but it's structurally, there's a kind of a verse and then there's a sort of a chorus. I mean, it is a chorus, yeah, I'm unlovable, and then there's a bridge and then it comes back to the verse. So like, I also tend to write motivically. This is not necessarily answering your question, but like that's how the things evolve. So with this kind of a song, there's a lot of words. So as you heard, so a lot of it is grounded in that. And so in terms of performance, it's really interesting listening back. It works so much better live than like on a because like she's just trying to stay with everything because we were so locked in. But there's a lot more malleability, I think, in live performance, even if everything's written down. Okay, sure. Yeah, no problem.
Have you written musicals or opera for your students at Dublin School?
No, but that is a program that so before coming to Dublin, I was teaching at NYU for about 10 years. Well, maybe 13 or 40, but in different departments. But one of the departments was at Tisch in the musical theater writing program. And I would love to start a musical theater writing program. I'll say it here. I'd love to start it. I've talked to people about it. We're working on it. But yeah, where they write their own musicals. I mean, fine for me to write it, but I would rather, it's something that happens that's really special when you write to see yourself or your story on stage. And I'll help, but like, even if it's a 5-minute show or a 10-minute show, it's really a special thing. And that's something that I do with my another collaborator. We do a lot of work based on interviews, and so that allows for different types of stories to end up on stage. That's fun. Yeah, man.
I was thinking the feeling of the music
really perfectly captured the feeling of the words. And I was wondering, how do you go about trying to capture the feeling of the words the way you did so perfectly?
I don't know. No, I wish. I mean, there's like speed, and there's harmony, and there's. I think it's, yeah.
I was thinking like the way the notes kind of bounced all over the place, up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
Kind of gave that feeling of being mentally unstable.
Well, yeah, no, totally, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and it has no tonal. It has a tonal center, but it's hidden, and it only reveals itself periodically. So like, that was intentional.
Right.
So that's a thing, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. There's a big ambiguity, at least in the beginning of that piece. Yeah. I those are questions. It's not at this point. It's not necessarily something I pre-plan.
Maybe it's intuitive.
I think so.
A lot of music and a lot of art is very intuitive.
Yeah.
It just happened.
Yeah, and it's also the result of like a lot of study, like a lot of study of what came before, and also a lot of trial and error. Like in grad school, so I went to the Tisch Musical Theater Writing Program in grad school, and we were writing like 6 to 7 tunes a week to different theatrical situations with different parameters. So like there's a lot of, it was like kind of like a boot camp for writing for theater. So it was really kind of like ingrain you to think about how the music affects where we at.
Any other, Sarah?
Yeah, do you ever write words as well?
Yeah.
Start with
Yeah, sometimes. For yeah, I've adapted a couple of psalms, and that I can do. I've tried to do more of it lately. I had a story in my head that I couldn't do it for a really long time, and I'm still not as practiced. For River, I wrote a lot of dummy lyrics, and some of them stayed in, so I'm happy. But yeah, no, I'll let people that just do that do that. Yeah.
Do you have a technique or a particular approach to limiting yourself as a way of,
What do you limiting? In what way?
Are you familiar with Robert Kraft, the Conversations with Stravinsky? There's somewhere buried in there. He's talking about Stravinsky. He's got a commission to write a ballet.
Yeah.
Okay, and so okay.
Oh, so then what do you do?
Yeah, exactly. Then what do you do?
I think. I mean, I'm very. So when I do instrumental music, the way that I write typically, whether it's instrumental, I'll try and do this quickly, but like, I'll do many different passes. So if I'm working with words, what it'll typically look like is if I come up with an accompaniment figure, I'll jot that down, and then I'll write a melody, like I'll set the text. And while I'm setting the text, if there is mostly it's just one bass note, so it's almost like figured bass, if that's anything that, like it's like almost like a lead sheet. And then I'll make like another pass where I fill in a little bit more, and then I'll change something, and then I'll make another pass, and I'll take. Luckily with opera stuff and musical theater stuff, I am self-limited because it's governed by the story and the text. With instrumental music, I don't know. I think I don't know. It just kind of goes until it doesn't, unless there are constraints. I mean, like with certain ballets, you're gonna have, or commissions, you're gonna have like, well, just write me 5 minutes, and that's all I want, or like that's all we can afford, or like whatever it is. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that was fun.
Good.
Sure. Cool.
Another hand for Zach.
Oh, okay.